So Godfrey says, prepare in proportion to the difficulty of the upcoming endeavor, battle, or initiation. Prepare based on the difficulty, according to the difficulty of the upcoming initiation, battle, situation, endeavor. Prepare with great detail. Secure all of the facts required, all of the information necessary, and if required, or preferably from more than one source, for the full perspective that is essential. Execute with determination, forthrightness, joy, never looking back, never looking back. And in this case, the word execute is not about killing, it's how you deliver, how you actually perform, okay? This word in English, some of you may think of execution, it's not that. Execute with great determination, great focus, great joy. And then expect to win, plan to win. So you plan to win and expect to win, yet never take the victory for granted. Never take the victory for granted. Especially at the last moment of the battle or the work. And he also says to guard the alchemy of the preparation. Loose lips sink ships, as was said in World War II, I believe. And never give the enemy, if there is an enemy in this case, any information on what you plan to do. Never. Because the enemy will then counter what you're doing. You act judiciously, appropriately, with the necessary power or force to overcome any opposition to your victory. Appropriately with the necessary force and not more, in order to not waste resources. Yet have enough resources prepared, have ample resources available in appropriate positions where required to meet what you know will probably be there to counter what you're doing. Although we plan and expect to win, it is always preferred to have plan B or a backup plan in case you have to temporarily retreat, to regather forces and then make your next move. On the chessboard, this happens sometimes. You move your knight forward, and then you have to move your knight back. You move your bishop forward, you have to move your bishop back. You move your rook or your queen forward. You have to retreat at times to guard the king and guard those who guard the king, the pawns. Sometimes the pawns are very, very important in chess, especially when they're guarding the king. Now, why is Godfrey sharing all this kind of in the mode of a battle, a war, etc.? Because we are in a battle of Armageddon. And as much as we would like to say, I don't like to use words that connote or denote war, battles, etc., if we could actually see beyond this veil what opposes what we do every day, and especially our major projects, our major initiatives, books, translations, you name it, we would be amazed at what the dark spirits, the dark forces do. Do we focus on them? No. We focus on what we are doing, the alchemy of it, our preparations, all of our work. Yet we must always be aware and awake to that which would attempt to thwart what we do. And if we do our work well and we invoke the light of protection and the alchemy of secrecy around our sacred work, then the chances of us being successful and victorious are much more. You know that in alchemy you don't talk about what you're doing to anyone who is not involved in that alchemy before the victory is done. Because if you start to speak about it, the words go out in the ethers, and there are beings on the astral plane who actually are aware of everything that we do. And they take those words and they, to spite us, attempt to have us eat those words by attacking our alchemy. And many of us probably have stories of where we had a plan and we told someone who we didn't need to tell, and then somehow we didn't fulfill it in the time that we desired or at all, because we spilled the beans. We had loose lips, and then the dark ones sunk our ships. It's better to know, to dare, to do, and to be silent. To know, to dare, to do, and to be silent. And the silence is the last one, which safeguards the alchemy. To know, to dare, to do, and to be silent. And being silent is a part of alchemy. I could give you, this is David now, I could give you a number of examples of when I said I was going to do something and then I spilled the beans to one too many people, or even one person who didn't need to know, and then I didn't fulfill it. And I felt terrible about it. So how many people have done this where you said, I'm going to do this, and you told someone, and then all hell broke loose? How many people has that happened to, right? Almost all of you. So I knew someone on the staff of the Summit Lighthouse. His name was Alex Reichart. And I can tell you, he nailed this down. He would never talk about anything that he was working on before it came to the point where it was fulfilled. And I had a lot of respect for him over the years. He was my boss for quite a while during one cycle. And I think he, in his younger years on staff, had learned this from Mark Prophet directly and probably learned it the hard way a few times and got the ray. So he was very, very careful about this. Now, if you are a Scorpio, typically you like to be more secretive. I'm generalizing here. So don't blame Scorpios for being more secretive. They can be alchemists. They are typically amazing alchemists and very creative people. It's kind of their makeup sometimes that they are more secretive and don't talk about things. Leos, on the other hand, love to talk, and tell everything to everyone. So if you have your sun, your moon, your rising in Leo or other major planets, be careful not to spill the beans. Aries like to thrust forth. They're very determined, and sometimes they talk, many times they don't. They're typically pretty good about it. I'm just making generalizations again with a few sun signs. So again, a lot is involved in preparation. In fact, the more you prepare, like in permaculture, they say 70% of the work is done in planning and preparation and drawing designs, maps, etc., before you even begin to do anything. 70% is all preparation. In war, I can assure you, a lot of it's preparation. George Washington, another embodiment of Godfrey, was an expert in seeking and getting information. I read a book recently on George Washington's spies, and he had a spy network, and they had to get information for him so that he knew what to do, when to do it, where to do it. And without those spies, we probably would not have won the Revolutionary War against the British. God bless you, British, who are here. Some of us are Americans, but it was necessary that we win that war for our independence. So if you take these words to heart when you work on projects, when you work on any alchemy, and you really try to follow what Godfrey's tack is, his suggestions, I think that you will have an easier time. You may spend more time in meetings planning and in getting information than in just rushing into executing something. How many people also have the experience of, well, you didn't plan enough and you started doing something, and then you realize you didn't plan enough, right? And you could have planned more. And so what was the learning from that? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure in terms of a project, right? That's kind of a medical thing. An ounce of prevention, or in this case planning, is worth a pound of cure, or a pound of action, of work.
It's like starting to build a building without a blueprint.
Yeah, it's like Boyd said, it's like trying to build a building without a blueprint. Or let's say you have a plan, but you're a builder, and you're mainly the guy that does all the woodworking. But you have electricians, you have plumbers, you have people that do HVAC, which is heating, cooling, air conditioning, and they have to do their work at a certain time. Otherwise, it can hold up the whole project, because the carpenters have to wait before they can close up a wall with, let's say, whatever they're working at, sheetrock or whatever. They have to wait for the electricians to finish their work. If they close it up, electricians would have to tear it out to put their wiring in, right? So everything is timing, everything is planning. And on the spiritual path, if we translate this to our lives, and we really desire to be victorious in major initiatives, we will do that preparation. It's like even having a child. Did you study the Lamaze method? Did you talk to doctors, talk to nurses, secure a midwife, have the midwife available? When your due time is, when your due date is, and around that time. Do you have all the materials that you're going to need when the baby comes? Do you desire a water birth or the more conventional one? Do you have all the towels? Do you have things to help you through that whole process? Do you have a swaddling garment for the baby? Do you have water, warm water, not hot water, not cold water? Babies don't like it too hot or too cold, and yet they need to be, tended to. So all these things, if you can look at many aspects of your life and realize Godfrey's words apply to them if you shift it a little bit and consider everything. Taking tests for school, you have to study. If you don't study, don't expect to ace that test. There's a few people on the planet who have photographic memories, but that's very few. The rest of us have to read, take notes on lectures, go over them, rehearse them in our mind, use different methods of memorization, and then be prepared for whatever the teacher has to test us with, right? Well, translate that to the initiatic path. Do you think there are sponsoring masters that we have that test us? And if so, how can we secure the guidelines to the test that we're going to have? Well, you know what those guidelines are many times? The words of the masters and heartstreams. Or we used to have the Pearls of Wisdom, Keepers of the Flame lessons, and then the dictation transcripts. And I remember reading my pearls, being caught up all the time, almost all the time, in reading my Pearls of Wisdom. A lot of people weren't. They didn't study the word. Initiation came, they flunked it. If you study the Pearls of Wisdom, or in this case the Heartstream transcripts, there could be keys in there for you that will help you to meet a situation that could be life-altering or major. Now, in addition to what comes through me, your own meditation practice, you will get directly from your God presence or from your own sponsoring masters, or your higher self. You will get information when you meditate, when you are in silence, that is absolutely essential for your victory. In fact, it's better to get it directly from your own God presence and from your inner self than from another person or even a master. It's better to get it from your own higher self. Why? Because you're developing yourself to become a master. And eventually, we're all going to be in that position where our attunement with our own presence is the most important thing. Because we may be cut off from the ability to communicate with others or a master. Yet we can always communicate with our inner God presence. Always.